Welcome to test, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. So as you guys know, we got the Sinquefield Cup going on right now. We got round number 8. That means I got Wesley So versus Nepomniachtchi. So of course, for all of my people coming from the Philippines, I will say Maraming Salamat. Anybody who is coming from Russia, I will say Большое Spasiba. I believe I said that correctly. Yeah, Большое Spasiba. It's gonna take me a minute. I just learned the, much thank you very much or whatever. But man, if you guys are ready to go, homie, let's take a look, see what we got for this game, son. We got the move D4, so I gotta get my volume up. It's been a long time since I did that. So we got D4, knight to F6. We got C4, E6, knight to C3, inviting the Nimzo Indian, saying, I don't even care. Show me your worst, bro. We got the move bishop to B4, so we do have the Nimzo Indian on the board. We got queen to C2. Now, you guys probably, if you guys watched my video recently, or if you played the Nimzo from either side, you kind of probably have an idea of what the, the ideas and the plans and stuff like that are. But for anybody who doesn't know, or who didn't watch my stuff, basically, what white would really love to do, when they adopt a D4 and then they're able to get a C4 situation in, what they are wanting to ideally do is control this E4 square and eventually make E4 a possible pawn push. And, knight going to F6, bishop coming to B4 is just really trying to kind of like combat that idea. You absolutely do not want white to establish like the most ideal, perfect pawn center. We do see castles by black, and then we do see the immediate E4. And the thing I'll say about this push at this moment is it is, out of all of the main moves, this is the absolute best winning percentage that we see in this particular opening with this variation. And with the inclusion of the move queen to C2, we are putting a lot more control over E4. So as you can see, white has kind of, gotten this beautiful center established, and black cannot stand for that. So we see D5. Basically telling white, bro, you're not just going to have this type of center, and I'm just going to sit and just allow you to do what you want to do. We do see the move E5, and then we do see knight coming to E4. And this is another one of the ideas that I mentioned before as far as what black is wanting to do. White is trying to control E4, and black is trying to control E4 too. So since the bishop is pinning this knight down and D5 is protecting this knight, we don't have the ability to just go off and start snatching knights. And that, of course, is why you don't see it earlier in the position. So we do see bishop going to D3, just adding more pressure, trying to add more control over the E4 square. And after bishop takes, pawn takes, you might be seeing some queen taken and you just gotten a pawn. We do see the move C5. So you see that as soon as white, you try to make an attack on black, they're going to be attacking you in some other way. Black, not that black is behind, but black is trying to fight you on your ideas, and they're trying to make it to where you can't successfully execute your stuff. So whenever white says, hey, man, I'm going to just add up a lot of pressure onto your knight, I'm going to go ahead and attack your undefended pawn in the center of the board if I'm black. We do see knight going to F3, just defending the pawn. We see pawn taking D4, knight taking D4, and then we do see knight to D7. And like I said, you see that every time you try to make some attack as white, black is counterattacking you all day. And that is why we see knight to D7, attacking your undefended pawn on E5. And we do defend it with bishop to F4. And we see the move queen to H4. Now, this can be somewhat of a tricky move if you're not prepared, because not only is the queen hitting your knight, if you make like a passive move, it's kind of indirectly attacking this knight that's undefended on D4. So you have to be very specific how you defend this position. And we do see the move G3. We got queen up to H5, and then we do see the move that was played in the game, which is castles. And this does allow this move G5 to land on the board. It might look a little bit strange because you're like, why is black just damaging their king side like this? Like, it's in front of your king. So this doesn't look like the most principled move, but this is absolutely mainline theory, and it is very well known. White really doesn't have the ability at the moment to really exploit this weakness that black has created in front of their king. But if we do go back, The winning percentage on this exact variation is about 20% for white. It's very drawn in the middle, and then there's it's kind of even for both sides, like, kind of who wins the game. But if we go back, I wanted to make an honorable mention on a move that is, it's just a little bit it's a little bit slightly down as far as percentage is concerned, but it does combat this idea of black pushing g5, and it is very, very sharp, and it is the move h4. And obviously you guys can see that h4 is trying to prevent this move here without some consequences by black, maybe giving an open H file, stuff like that. And so you would probably see the idea from earlier, which knight taking e5, because you do have the protection of this queen. And the thing that does make this sharp is the fact that you are trying to knock this queen away, deflect it away from the defense of this e5 knight. So you would see bishop to e2. And pretty much the only thing you can do is just block with knight to g4 because your knight is hanging on e5. You see that the queen doesn't have like a whole lot of places to go to maintain the protection. So you would probably see knight to g4, bishop taking, queen taking, and then you would be seeing f3. And the queen is going to get knocked around some more after g4. You got queen coming to g6, pawn taking e4. White at the moment is up an entire piece, but black is going to be working to get that back. So this is a slight advantage for black. Nothing to write home about, but you see that this is definitely an alternate idea that you can go into. But like I said, we do see queen to h5, we see castles, and then g5, and we pretty much get into like an immortal Zugzwang situation. We got pawn taking d5, knight taking c3, and then we have actually reached a point in the game. If you do want to pause the video, like obviously you can see there's a lot of problems right here. I mean, this bishop is hit, this knight is hit, this queen is undefended over here. Like, I mean, there's all types of stuff in the middle of the board. So if you do want to pause the video and try to guess what move white plays right here, go ahead and do so. Okay, so like I said, it seems like you have like a plethora of options. It's like, man, I'm trying to get, my bishop defended. I got this pawn that's hit by this knight. It's all, it's like there's just so much stuff that you have to consider in this position. But very calmly, Wesley So just goes ahead and plays pawn takes e6. A nice little Zwischenzug move. I mean, you are putting a lot of pressure on this knight and on this king right here. So you definitely don't want to allow either one of those captures to take place. But you do see pawn taking f4, pawn taking d7, and then you do see bishop taking d7, pawn taking c3, which might kind of look like, man, like it's attacking this bishop here. The bishop probably has to move, but no, you have the nice Zwischenzug move, pawn takes d3, and obviously, or maybe not obviously, you have queen to h2 with checkmate set up on the board, so you have to parry that thread. You can't just let it happen. Pawn taking g3, and then you do see the move rook a to c8, and this is pinning that pawn down to the queen, so you really don't have a whole lot of time to do a lot, and you really kind of don't want to push the move c4, so we do see the move bishop to f5, bishop takes c3, queen goes down to d1, and I just wanted to kind of like express in this specific position, like just look at the board though. This queen is undefended, attacked by this queen. This rook is attacked by this bishop. There's an exchange. This bishop is attacked. This knight is attacked. It just literally like almost everything on the board is attacked right now, except for this rook and maybe this rook over here. And then the undefended bishop over here. So what do you choose? We do see queen taking d1, rook a taking d1, just sidestepping the exchange loss. We do see rook down to c4, bishop takes d7, rook takes d4. We do see e6, pawn takes e6, bishop takes e6. The king does go down to g7, and then we see rook taking d4. We got bishop taking d4. We got king up to g2. And it is interesting because Wesley So and Jan Nepomniachtchi actually have played this exact game last year until this point. And in that game, we actually saw rook going over to e8. But in this game, we actually see a similar idea, but we see just a slight change in the move. And we have now arrived, after move 25, to the novelty of the game. Craziness. We got the bishop coming back to b3. And then basically what both players are wanting to try to do is expand and get as much space as possible. So we do see the move b5. We got the move f4. We got the move a5. We see rook over to d1. I mean, maybe black doesn't like their bishop. And they're just going to play like h6 or something and just hang their bishop. But they're not. We see rook to d6. We got the move a4, and then we do see the move b4, trying to shut down white's counterplay on the queen side. And one of the things that I did want to make a note of is notice for each side what color bishop each side has, right? You know, black has a dark squared bishop, white has a light squared bishop, and then notice where the kings are at. Because of the fact that black has a dark squared bishop, white has decided to come and rest on this light square. And the same thing for black. Since white has a light square bishop, they decided to rest on this dark square. One of the things that you want to be paying attention to that, you know, when you get into end games or even in the middle game, even in the opening, when you notice that your opponent has specific color bishops, it's usually a good idea to move your king on a square that is of the opposite color. Because sometimes there's some tactics that are involved. Maybe there's some pins that are involved. Like, you know, if you put your king, you know, like on a dark square and you put your rook on a dark square. So there's just so many different problems that you could come across, you know, as far as being on a specific color complex when your opponent has an opposite color bishop. But moving forward, we do see king going to f3, maintaining the light square. We do see bishop dropping back to c5. We see rook taking d6, bishop taking d6. We do see the move g4. We got the move h6, and we do see king going to e4. Just maintaining the light square ideas that I was talking about. And then the king does the same on f6. And we see bishop to c4. And then after we see this repetition here, we have just seen a draw by threefold repetition. The interesting thing I will say about the situation is both players identically played 99.3% accuracy. So I'm honestly not sure what either one of these players could have done slightly differently. Maybe, I mean, you kind of throw somebody off with like a subpar move, but you know, generally players aren't trying to play subpar moves, bro. So that is that game. Of course, all my people from the Philippines, I will say magandang umaga. It is very early morning. Magandang apon if you see this in the afternoon. Hello ulit. Kamusta na aking magkaibigan? Anybody who is coming from Russia, I'll say privyet. Kakadela. I appreciate everybody for stopping by, and I'm going to see you guys next time.